think that we are 10 years away from a database or databases that could provide this knowledge. But in the meantime, of course, the development goes on. So class 2B, that is a bit more weird. This is that you could maybe turn the nanomedical ideas that I showed you with these, maybe not these paramagnetic particles for the brain tumor, but other concepts, that you could turn them into bioweapons, nanobioweapons, that are matched to certain genomes of parts of the population, because we know there are 3 million differences in the genome among humans, and you could exploit that. So that would be a completely new step in bioweapons. At the moment, none of this is part of the Bioweapons Convention or the Chemical Weapons Convention. So these two guys, Jürgen Altmann, Mark Gubrud, they have been advocating for the past years that the possibility of nano weapons should be explicitly taken into the conventions. Well, but nothing happened, of course. It's just a proposal. Well, the disruptive nanotechnology, I mentioned already the artificial viruses or the nanoassemblers. What you have maybe heard is this worst case scenario of nanoassemblers, which is called gray goo. That is, the nanoassemblers get out of control. There are billions and trillions of them, and then they start just processing all the biomass they can find into copies of themselves. And then there's no way to stop that. This is highly debated, well, but it is a worst case scenario, and this guy, the nanomedicine guy, Robert Freitas, he made a calculation that if it starts at one point on the Earth with 10 meters per second, then it would take 23 days to convert all biomass on Earth into copies of these assemblers, which would cover then Earth like a gray goo, a machine goo. So this is what gets some people nightmares. And at the moment it's not yet clear. It's possible that in 5 years, maybe even in 3 years, we will have some kind of similar debate that we had in the early 90s about genetically manipulated organisms, GMO. The problem is that the nanotech guys, they say, well, we have to learn from that GMO disaster because it was a PR disaster for them. But then, at the other hand, they don't know how. There are no real proposals how to do that. They just, I have the impression that they just try to get through with it, and they hope nothing happens. But if you look at the beneficiary applications, then you could say energy. We had already the nano-solar cells. There are concepts for hydrogen storage for fuel cells made of nanoparticles. You could have better materials in cars, whatever, that will conserve energy in return. You could even provide clean drinking water with nanofilters that are already there, where you just put in sewage and you get clean water out. That works. And maybe a lot of other applications that I didn't think of. So you cannot say nanotechnology as a whole is potentially damaging or dangerous. You have really look closely of what part of nanotechnology you are talking. So this is the end. This is an idea I have. If we could not create a kind of open nanotechnology, open, one meaning transparent, that is, we have to get a public discourse started. We need the databases. If you look at the funding, just a number, the US, they put $220 million in military-related nanotechnology research, but only $3.5 million in risk research. So I think setting up comprehensive databases for nanotoxicology is a very urgent issue. The public discourse in Germany is mostly nothing. The UK is a bit further ahead. I think it's most interesting what's happening there. They had, this year they had the nano jury. There were just 20 citizens, ordinary citizens. They have no idea about that, like cab drivers and whatever. And they had sessions 5 weeks with experts, companies, scientists, and then they made up their mind a kind of recommendation to the British government where they should put the money in nanotech research. And they said, well, health, energy. So they had quite clear priorities. And I think we should start that in Germany too, but unfortunately at the ministry level there's nothing happening. But maybe Greenpeace will do it next year, I hope so, because this, in the UK, the nano jury was initiated by The Guardian and Greenpeace UK. The second idea is open could mean also open source, or let's say open design. Because like in every new technology nowadays, you have a patent rush. Also in nanotechnology, they start to create, to patent all I'm already done. They start to patent all kinds of molecules. If they just change something, some group of atoms, then boom, it's a patent. And we already know, and it's a topic at this Congress as well, that there's, for instance, this digital divide. I think if you look at how capital-intensive nanotechnology is, then it's very easy to foresee that in, let's say, 10 years, we will have a nano divide globally. So maybe we could start initiating like a kind of open material design domain. So no, this is just an idea that I have. I know that in open hardware there are approaches a bit similar to open source. Of course, hardware you can't copy by the million, but IBM, for instance, this year made open parts of the design of the new cell chip. There are some initiatives on the web that are creating open controller cards or whatever. There's even one initiative that's restarting again of an open source car. Maybe some people of you have heard about that. And that's where we have to get in. You, everybody. It's not just industry, it's not just markets. It's really, if we say it's a new phase of technology, then it's affecting all of us. So I think we should get involved, and if nobody wants us to be involved, then, well, we should say, please, we have a word. Okay, this is the book that I've written last year, where you can read, if you like, more about that, all a bit more detailed. There's also a website to the book. This is nanobitfaction.com. And, well, if there's something, just mail me. And, well, that's it.